I appreciate that, but I think it's time that he gets a taste of something else because I just can't with that history. In accordance with the laws of the state of Nevada, this court...
You're being charged with count 1, attempt murder, victim 60 years of age or older, a felony. Count 2, battery on a protected person resulting in substantial bodily harm, victim 60 years of age or older. Count 13, unlawful act related to human excrement or bodily fluid, a felony. All allegedly occurring on January 3rd of 2024.
The Las Vegas aerial attacker back in court now facing attempted murder charges for the attack on the judge. And authorities in California are asking the public to help identify a victim of the happy face killer. Plus, who was missing mom Jennifer Dulos? 2 Connecticut reporters share what they learned investigating her case. That's all coming up next for you, plus more right here on Opening Statements. Good Wednesday morning to you, friends. Nice to see you here on Opening Statements. I'm your host, Julie Grant. If you're new to the show, welcome. We're so glad to have you here. I say the show is a lot like coffee in court. We get you all warmed up and ready to go for the big day ahead on Court TV Live. We have an outstanding show planned for you today, so let's get to it. Grab a cup of coffee right now. It's time for my opening statement. Jennifer Dulos. She was 50 years old when she was killed. She left behind 5 children who are growing up now without their mom and their dad. Police in Connecticut believe it was Jennifer's husband, Fotis Dulos, who murdered her, as the two were in the process of getting a divorce. Things went south in their marriage when Fotis had an affair with a woman named Michelle Troconis. That was in 2017. Now, police say Troconis helped her boyfriend Fotis by assisting him in the disposal of his wife Jennifer's remains. Both Fotis and Troconis get charged, but then Fotis takes his own life, leaving the children he had with Jennifer behind, and Troconis holding the bag. Now, Troconis is about to go to trial, holding that bag this week. And there's been a great deal of focus on her and what she allegedly did or didn't do. We've seen interviews that she did with police, and detectives say that she and Fotis actually had an alibi script so they could keep their stories exactly matched up. But as you know, my friends, here on this show, I like to make sure that the case victim is the focus of the trial, not the defendant or her deceased co-conspirator. Jennifer Dulos is who deserves justice. She is the victim in this case, and so are her 5 children, 2 sets of twins and 1 youngest child. They are all victims too. Their lives are changed forever, and they've been forced to deal with the awful pain of losing not 1, but 2 parents. Michelle Troconis might be left holding the bag, but as we watch her face the accusations, let's remember who the real victims are. Jennifer Dulos and her 5 children. That's my opening statement. Let me know if you like it. Right now, I want to give you what's on your daily docket.
Today is Ashley's birthday, so we're celebrating it in hopes we get justice today for my daughter. It won't be today, but I mean, it's the start of it. And it will resume tomorrow at 1 o'clock. I'll be there. We just wanted to celebrate some Oreos and milk for her birthday, and to let her know that how much I miss her.
All right, friends, here's a look at some of the cases we are following for you today here on Court TV. We've got jury selection set to happen at any minute in Akron, Ohio. It's going to be resuming. It's already begun. This is for the retrial in the pizza delivery murder case. You may remember this one. The defendant's name is Erica Stefanko. Yeah, she is going to trial yet again. We'll get you a live report on that in a second. Florida. We're seeing jury selection rolling on in the Treehouse murder trial for defendant Franklin Tucker, who's expected to represent himself at trial. So that should be a good one. And in Georgia, we've got the young thug YSL Rico trial continuing in our next hour when Court TV Live begins. Now, court was on a recess on Monday when one of the defense attorneys fell ill. And so we're going to see if things end up continuing. We will keep you posted on that. Of course, Court TV has boots on the ground for you all across the country. We have our Chanley Painter standing by live for us in Akron, Ohio, and our Matt Johnson in the studio live with us this morning. We begin with Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson, who's been following the latest on that baby found in a dumpster in Florida. Matt, good morning.
Julie, good morning. So disturbing. Police now asking for the public's help this morning after a baby was found dead in a dumpster in Broward County, Florida. It happened on Monday. Police say the infant was unresponsive and pronounced dead at the scene after attempting life-saving measures. Scripps News Miami has more.
It's an infant, very young child.
Hollywood police are investigating the death of a baby found in a dumpster. The discovery made by a construction worker Monday morning around 8 off US 1 and Rodman Street.
Cuando abrí la bolsa,
David Vasquez says he found the lifeless baby's body in a blue plastic bag.
me llegó mal olor.
He says a smell made him check what was inside.
It's unbelievable. It's like if people don't want a baby, they could have gave it up to the firemen or leave it at a hospital.
Neighbors watched as investigators took photos and searched for evidence.
This is crazy. This is absolutely insane.
Detectives are hopeful someone may have seen something.
If you live near this area, this 1700 block of Rodman Street in the city of Hollywood, and you have a Ring camera, and you believe that you have some kind of footage on your Ring camera or on your doorbell camera, please don't hesitate to call us.
And you heard right there is a call for action this morning. Anyone with any information being asked to call the Hollywood, Florida Police Department or the Broward County Crime Stoppers. Julie?
Matt, thanks so much for that update. Hopefully justice for that poor baby. Turning now to Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter, who's standing by in Akron with a report for us on the pizza delivery murder retrial. Chanley, good morning to you.
Good morning, Julie. Jury selection continues here in Akron, Ohio for a second day. This after the process unfolded much slower yesterday than anticipated. But, Julie, yesterday was significant for more than just the start of the retrial for Erica Stefanko. It was victim Ashley Biggs' birthday, and her mother, Kimberly, invited me to go along with her to Ashley's grave. Let's watch. Why today special and what you're doing?
Celebrating my daughter's birthday. They're picking the jury today, and we're going to celebrate in her honor, and we're going to put some flowers on her grave.
And this was her favorite snack?
Her favorite snack. All she ate was Oreos. There you go. One for you, one for me. Can we do the dunk?
Do the dunk? She dunked them?
She dunked them.
Okay, let's go Ashley. What do you miss most about her?
Her smile. Her smile. I miss talking to her.
Why'd you come out today?
I wanted to see my daughter's grave site. I live away in Louisiana, and I wanted to come up here for the trial. Today is Ashley's birthday, so we're celebrating it in hopes we get justice today for my daughter. It won't be today, but I mean, it's the start of it. We just wanted to celebrate some Oreos enough for her birthday and to let her know that how much I miss her.
The first conviction for Erica was overturned, and we have to do this all again.
Well, I hope we get it right this time. Just get it right. She could have stopped it. She could have stopped it, but she didn't. And I feel that she's just as guilty as he is.
In true justice here, you can never have your precious Ashley back, but what would be some semblance of final closure for you?
Knowing that it's all done. I have to reopen this again.
Ashley's mother was unable to attend the trial in 2020 due to COVID-19 restrictions, but she tells me she will be here every day because that's what Ashley would want her to do. And Julie, we may not make it to opening statements later this afternoon because jury selection day 2 is expected to take up most of the morning. And then after a jury is seated, Julie, they will go on a 5-stop jury view later this afternoon.
Oh, wow. Wow, that is a lot. Oh, boy, Chanley, I'm so glad Ashley's mom's going to be there and so glad you caught up with her for us. Our hearts go out to her and hopefully justice is served. Chanley Painter live in Akron this morning. Thank you for that update. We'll look forward to seeing you later today. right now. Let's talk more about how this conviction, this solid conviction, got overturned because of what was happening in the pandemic. Let me bring in civil rights and criminal defense attorney Kezia Early, who practices in Florida. Kezia, good morning. Nice to have you on the show. Oh boy, I know you can more than understand the constitutional right to confront witnesses against a person, right? And here, that's what was really at play in the overturning of this decision, you know, and I'm really boiling it down to the Reader's Digest version right now because the opinion was long, but the Ohio Appellate Court saying, look, Chad Cobb, the co-defendant, testified remotely via Zoom. Erica Stefanko didn't get to confront her husband. He is her husband, let's remember that too. In person, everybody's wearing masks in the pandemic, violation of her constitutional rights. Let's send the case back down. I'm struggling with it, Casey. I'm really struggling with that because I feel like what was a judge supposed to do? Give us your thoughts. You know, you do criminal defense work. I know you can appreciate what her defense team did for her on appeal.
Absolutely, Julie. In fact, here in Broward County, I was the first attorney to petition the court and actually have my first trial, and we did it completely with masks. And my position was either give my client a bond or give him the right to a speedy trial. And I understood, however, there was a possibility that maybe the jury didn't have the opportunity to examine the witnesses because that's also the purpose of having a trial in person. So I do believe for purposes of the appeal that the higher court made the proper decision, but the outcome is going to be the same because the evidence doesn't change. There's so much overwhelming evidence that points to her being involved in this case. I mean, you have the daughter who's going to testify that she overheard her making this pizza delivery call under a false name, and then there's out there recorded conversation. So there is sufficient evidence out there to secure another conviction a second time around.
Right. Kezia, tell me, when we think about what may happen this time around, our team on the ground is hearing that there's a possibility that Erica Stefanko might want to take the stand this time, and that was something that didn't happen the first time around. Tell me your thoughts on that. Do you think that's a smart move for her? Why or why not, please?
Well, it always depends because oftentimes if the defendant, let's say, has a criminal background, we as the attorney will advise our client it may not be in their best interest to testify because all of those bad acts or prior criminal history may come in. But in this case, I mean, she did have a guilty verdict, so she may want to change up the course of how the trial's going and believes that she can possibly convince the jury that, you know what, I'm innocent and this is just a bitter husband who is testifying against me. I had no involvement. I had no idea. So who knows? It may be a great defense strategy for her to testify. Hopefully she'll get a different outcome. But I stick to my previous statement that it still doesn't change the overwhelming circumstantial evidence that's against her.
You are spot on, in my opinion, Kezia Early, as per usual. Thank you so much for weighing in on that case. And like Chanley said, we may not even get to the opens today. We'll see. Our team is there on the ground, ready to go in any case. We're going to hit a break. My friends, so glad you're with us on this Wednesday. We got a great show coming up for you. Here's what's next on Opening Statements. Officials in California are needing the public's help in identifying a murder victim, and we're taking a closer look at the Happy Face killer case. This has been huge in the true crime community, as you know, and now authorities are hoping that social media is going to help identify another one of the killer's victims. And actor Jonathan Majors speaking out since he was convicted of assault. But will his reaction to his case hurt Majors' upcoming sentencing? We'll talk about it in what's trending in true crime.
She was a sweet girl, loving mother.
Erica Stefanko stands accused of luring a pizza delivery driver into a trap that ended her life.
We believe it was her that made the phone call to order the pizza.
During the delivery, Ashley was ambushed by her former boyfriend.
She was found guilty, but that conviction has been overturned.
Now, will a new trial end with a different verdict?
The pizza delivery murder retrial. Live coverage today, only on Court TV.
She is described as a white female with fair complexion. She was around 25 to 35 years old at the time of her death. She was about 5 feet 7 inches tall with medium build. She likely had brown or dyed blonde hair. Lastly, she had a tattoo of 2 dots on the side of her right thumb. This is a shirt that she was wearing at the time of her death. We ask that you look closely. Do you recognize her? Do you remember anything that might help lead to her identification?
Now to what's trending in true crime. After more than 3 decades, police are asking the public to help identify an unknown victim of the Happy Face Killer. Officials in Riverside, California are launching a nationwide effort to discover the identity of a woman who was murdered back in 1992. The last unidentified victim of Keith Jesperson, the Happy Face Killer. Now, Jesperson, a Canadian-born long-haul trucker, claimed to have killed women in 5 states. His killing spree lasted from 1990 to 1995, when he finally turned himself into police. He received the Happy Face nickname due to the smiley faces that he would draw on letters bragging about his crimes. Now, our question this morning, in the wake of these new details, what are the chances the public can crack this cold case? Let me bring in our power panel. Still with me, criminal defense and civil rights attorney Casey Early, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Franz Borghardt, and entertainment reporter Kinsey Schofield. Wonderful to have you all on the program this morning. Thank you for being here. Oh boy. Can this unidentified victim and her family get some justice here now, all of these years later? Kinsey Schofield, I would love for you to start things off. You certainly have been following things in California where you are. What are your thoughts now with so many different social media platforms? You know, you're very active, you're a podcaster as well. Do you think that now we have as great a chance as any to try to help find out who this is?
Absolutely. Thousands of people have already watched this outreach on social media, on Twitter and on YouTube. There was even an interesting comment on the Riverside County District Attorney's YouTube that said, you know, the fact that no one's reported this woman missing is the most depressing part of the story. She had a family somewhere, yet no one came forward to claim her. And they responded, the Riverside County District Attorney, that they have identified some of her family members' half-siblings via a DNA match. However, they did not know her or her identity. So it's like an onion. You're peeling away these layers when it comes to this particular case. And I think people will be way more invested because of that.
Definitely. Well said, Kinsey. Well said. Franz Borghardt, I know how to say your last name. I'm just inarticulate this morning. Weigh in for us, please. Do you think that there is some hope here to finally close out this case?
Absolutely. There is some kid somewhere with AI technology that can take a face and take a composite and probably find this young lady. If there was a social media footprint, if there was anything, we all experience this modern age of technology that we have, and maybe it's going to be something as subtle, Julie, as the tattoos. Maybe it's going to be something as subtle as the T-shirt. But we have this wealth of technology now, and we have some layperson sleuths out there that are into true crime, into court TV, and they spend their nights and their days trying to solve cases. And I think with those two things, we may get a lead at some point and we may get justice.
Definitely. Franz, I love what you're saying there. You're right. That is one thing. We all know this, that the true crime community is so loyal and fierce when it comes to justice for victims. And so hopefully with so many eyes on this and people talking about it, and now with the technology advancements, as you said, Franz, we can get there. Last but certainly not least, we want Casey Early to weigh in on this. Casey, your thoughts on whether this case can be cracked?
Well, Julie, I agree with what my colleague stated. It's the unique features, that double tattoo, those 2 dots on her fingers, as well as what she was wearing, coupled with exposure and saturation. I mean, you get that, someone is going to stumble upon this post, upon these features, and I'm hopeful that this case will be cracked, she'll be identified, and finally brought to justice.
Most certainly. I hope you were all right on this. Let's hope that victim gets some justice. We're going to switch gears now, talk about another major case that's trending in true crime. crime. Actor Jonathan Majors is breaking his silence following his conviction of assault and harassment for attacking his ex in a car. In a sit-down interview with ABC's Good Morning America, Majors explained his confusion behind the jury's decision to convict him.
Shock. I was absolutely shocked, and afraid. And I'm standing there, and the verdict comes down. I say, how is that possible? Based off the evidence, based off the prosecution's evidence, let alone our evidence. How is that possible?
He is stunned, apparently. Well, that 6-person jury convicted him last month. They weren't stunned. They found the evidence against him to convict him of misdemeanor assault and harassment for charges of that altercation with his then-girlfriend at the time that happened last March. So we're wondering this morning, will his lack of contrition hurt his case as sentencing approaches? Because remember, he has not been sentenced yet. You wonder what his defense attorney or attorneys are thinking after seeing that interview. Let's bring back in our power panel. Let me start with our defense attorneys. Casey Early, I'm going to go in reverse order this time. Kick us off, if you would, please.
Julie, as his attorney, first of all, I would be upset. Why are you having this interview before sentencing? Everything is available for the court. Everything is available for the prosecutors. Now, typically, sentencing will look at your past criminal history, if there's any mental illness. Now, it's not, rare that a person who's found guilty will maintain their innocence and speak out, but this is not the right timing. I mean, I've had cases where my clients were found guilty, unfortunately, and they did not apologize, and they maintained their innocence for appellate purposes as well. So this is not a rare occasion, but less is more, Mr. Majors. I wish you would just be silent, wait until you're sentenced, and then you can speak at the appropriate time.
Right, Casey. It's hard to see how did they not know? Or, maybe they did know it. He was just adamant, right? I mean, you both know this. You can give your clients all the great advice in the world, but as the old saying goes, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, right? Sometimes the clients just will not follow your good advice. Franz Borghardt, you do criminal defense work as well. Are you appalled?
Oh, Jonathan. So here's the thing. You can be quiet waiting your sentencing. You cannot be contrite, Julie. You can be quiet and not contrite under the umbrella of my client is going to remain silent because we intend to appeal this case. And most judges understand that and won't hold it against the defendant, will not hold it against the defendant for not showing remorse or some kind of emotional response, because they understand that legally you're going to get to appeal this. Why in the world would you do this interview? Now, again, I'm not Hollywood yet, so I don't know what it's like. I don't know if a publicist somewhere said, hey, you need to get in front of this and you need to make this interview now to salvage your acting career. I, as a defense attorney, would have been like, dude, if you want to do 1,000 interviews, let's do that after you're sentenced.
Exactly.
So I think this was a huge mistake.
Right. Well, and let's ask our panelist who lives in Hollywood, Kinsey Schofield, your thoughts on this and what this might has done just even to the public's opinion of Jonathan Majors?
Well, what we do know is that Majors' manager and PR team dropped him. So he might not have the guidance we're all suggesting he needs right now. They dropped him after that guilty verdict. But I do think that it's interesting that this interview was done on ABC. ABC, the sister to Marvel, because what some experts are saying is that perhaps they gave him this platform to test the waters in case he does want to come back. The return on investment is there with this movie star. So perhaps Marvel, ABC, in general, that family, maybe they want to bring him back one day. So maybe this was all just a toe in the water to see how the public reacts.
Kinsey, you are always a wealth of information, and thank you for saying that, because we had a discussion in our team editorial meeting. We were talking about doing the story today for the show, and we were saying, is he done in Hollywood? Is it over for him? It kind of seems like it, but to your point, maybe not. Do you think he was thinking by doing this, maybe in some way he can salvage his career, Kinsey?
I do. I think that the ultimate objective was to talk to his fan base, remind them that he is an innocent man, and have them up in arms and fighting for his cause online. Because if you look at the comment section, wherever this interview is posted, this is a man that has a lot of defenders. So I think that the ultimate objective was to convince his fan base to rally around him, support him, and go talk to those studios and say, this is a man we want to see him back on film.
This is a great conversation. We're going to leave it here for now, just because we're out of time. But of course, we're going to follow this when the time of sentencing approaches. And let's get together again. I want the same power panel together then when Jonathan Majors goes before the court. Kinsey Schofield, Franz Borghardt, wonderful having you both on the show. Thank you so much for lending us your insight. Casey Early is going to come along with me later in the show for our Tipping the Scales of Justice segment. And when we come back after this break, we're talking about Michelle Troconis heading to trial. Now, we're going to flip things around here on this show because, you know what, we're victim focused here on Opening Statements. So we're spotlighting Jennifer Dulos, not the defendant. We're shining a light on the victim and who she was. We have two tremendous journalists who work in Connecticut joining us live on the program next to talk about her. And Deobra Redden back in a Las Vegas courtroom on Tuesday. This time, this guy facing charges from that viral attack we all saw on the judge. We're breaking down the new charges that include attempted murder. Stay with us.
The sweet girl, loving mother.
Erica Stefanko stands accused of luring a pizza delivery driver into a trap that ended her life.
We believe it was her that made the phone call to order the pizza.
During the delivery, Ashley was ambushed by her former boyfriend.
She was found guilty, but that conviction has been overturned.
Now, will a new trial end with a different verdict?
The pizza delivery murder retrial. Live coverage today, only on Court TV.
Welcome back to Opening Statements. This morning, we are shining the spotlight on the victim in the missing mom conspiracy case, Jennifer Dulos. Nearly 5 years ago, the mother of five disappeared after dropping off her kids at school, and she was reported missing later that day by her friends and her family. Investigators believe that her estranged husband, Fotis Dulos, was waiting at Jennifer's home, killed her, and then tried to get rid of all the evidence. Fotis Dulos and his girlfriend, Michelle Troconis, were each charged with hindering prosecution and tampering with evidence. Fotis was then later charged with murder and kidnapping. And 3 weeks later, he took his own life. Now, Michelle Troconis has pleaded not guilty to conspiracy to commit murder, tampering with evidence, and hindering prosecution, and she's going to trial this week. But we're not focusing on her on this show. We're focusing on the victim, Jennifer Dulos. She was born Jennifer Farber, and she came from a wealthy New York City family. Her father was a successful banker, and her mother was a prominent philanthropist. Jennifer graduated from Brown University and earned her master's in writing from NYU, later working as both a stay-at-home mom and as a writer. She even ran her own blog. And early in their marriage, Fotis Dulos borrowed millions of dollars from Jennifer's parents in order to help begin his home building business. Here to talk more about the victim in this case, Jennifer Dulos, I want to bring in investigative reporter with the Connecticut Mirror, Dave Altamari, and the managing editor of local and breaking news for Hearst Connecticut Media Group, Mike Pignataro. Wonderful to have you both on the show. Thank you so much for lending us your time and your expertise on this case. Dave, let me begin with you, if I may, please. Tell us what you learned about who Jennifer Dulos was in all of the investigative reporting work you did on her case, please.
Sure. Good morning, first of all, Julie. Jennifer was a mom to 5 children, very dedicated to her children, and that's why on the day she went missing, her family was very concerned because she was supposed to meet up with her kids and hadn't contacted anyone. And by mid-afternoon, the nanny was concerned, already concerned that something had happened. They had been going through a bitter divorce that had been going on for over 2 years. It cost all kinds of money for both her and for Fotis. So it was very contentious, and it had come to a head.
Interrupting you, please. We're having trouble with your signal, so we're going to have our tech experts try to remedy that and then get back to you so that you can answer. I want everyone to hear everything you have to say. You have such good information. Let's play a clip of Fotis Dulos. This is before he took his own life and after Jennifer had vanished, but the cloud of suspicion was over him. It certainly was at this time. Let's listen to some of what he said to the public.
The only thing I have to say again, for one more time, is that my only concern are my children. I care deeply about them, and I can't wait to be with them again.
Talking about how he cared so deeply about his children. Mike Pignataro, to you next, please. When we think about who the victims are, the children, of course, Jennifer Dulos, you know, and she's no longer with us, but the kids have to suffer this enormous pain, losing both parents. Would you shine a light on the family dynamic here? What was going on? What kind of a mother Jennifer was to her children, please, Mike?
Sure. Jennifer was a mother to 5 children. They now range in age from 13 to 17. Since her disappearance, her mom, Gloria Farber, has been caring for the children. Jennifer was amid a very contentious divorce and custody dispute with Fotis Dulos at the time of her disappearance. She was fighting very hard to keep her children and to shield them from what the accusations that she had made against Fotis. And more recently, a judge has made an unusual decision in Connecticut to officially declare her dead. Gloria Farber had pushed for that. She's now 88 years old, and under Connecticut law, a missing person has to be missing for at least 7 years for someone to be considered dead. But in this case, the judge recently allowed, made the decision to officially declare her dead, which Gloria Farber argued that it would be in the best interest of the children and for their welfare going forward if she had happened to die before the 7-year time had come up. And the judge agreed. A judge had said that there was overwhelming evidence indicating that Jennifer had in fact died.
Mike, thank you for sharing all of that with us. That's really helpful information to know because, when we have minor children, as you know, being a journalist, oftentimes there's a lot we can't report in the media. There's a lot that is protected, rightfully so, about children, but it's good to know that they are presumably in the best of hands with Jennifer's mother caring for them. But as you mentioned, she's 88 years old, so that's got to be tough as well. These poor children to be growing up without their mother and their father. And Fotis Dulos, we know, was known, as this very successful architect. He had this big business, but it was funded by Jennifer's parents. And we got a little more information on that. And we know at the time that Jennifer was murdered, Fotis owed so much money to her family. I mean, look at this. We put it here in a graphic. He borrowed $2.4 million to build the family home, $200,000 in a personal loan for the home where he lived with Troconis, $1.7 million unpaid business loans. It makes me wonder, Mike, if money could have been some of the motivation in Jennifer's murder. And I say that because he had moved on. He was the one who had the affair with Michelle Troconis in 2017. He was the one who broke up their marriage, betrayed Jennifer, and so they had split. And so I'm thinking so many years later, we're 2019, it was when she was killed. We're going 2 years out from the time of the affair and the fallout. What could her death have been over? They were in the process of a divorce. In your reporting work, have you found that money might have been a motivating factor?
That's one of the theories, and also the custody dispute as well. He was running out of money. Eventually he did die by suicide. His lawyer had said that out of fear of he may have been sent back to prison because there was an issue with his bond because part of the money that he had put up was tied to those homes, and at that point many of them were in foreclosure, and there was an issue with the bond, and he was due in court, and he didn't show up, and it turned out that he attempted suicide at his home. So money was certainly a factor at that point. His company was mostly funded through her family, and by that point, he didn't have much left.
This is really helpful, the insight you're sharing, Mike. Thank you. Dave Altamari, we hope that we have fixed your connection because we know you also have great information to share with us. You sound better. Even just your laugh sounds better. So kind of take it from the top, if you would, please. We really want to just shine that spotlight on Jennifer Dulos. And what can you tell us about her, please, Dave?
So I think clearly this was about the children. Fotis had very limited access to his children through the family court, and that he was very angry about that, and he was trying to get more access to his kids through the divorce case. That divorce case was costing both of them enormous amounts of money. They both had high profile attorneys. Jennifer was paying $70,000 a month for her attorney, I was told at one time, and the case had no end in sight. And I think Dulos was frustrated that he wasn't seeing his kids, that it was costing him a lot of money, and that ultimately the judge in the family case was never going to rule in his favor.
Wow, this is really interesting. It shines a light on what was really the backstory, because the public sees this beautiful family, beautiful, former couple. How in the world does this happen? How in the world could he possibly do what police believe he did? And when you think about those things you both pointed out, the custody, the money, it all makes sense. It has been a real pleasure to have you both on the show. I hope you will come back sometime. I know you're both very busy, but your information has been really valuable. Dave Altamari, Mike Pignataro, thank you both so much for your time and all the insight. When we come back here on opening statements, Deobra Redden back in front of a Las Vegas judge, but not the same judge he attacked and not the same charges. Don't go away. Connecticut mother goes missing. Now, her estranged husband's girlfriend
stands trial for her alleged role in the disappearance.
The Missing Mom Conspiracy Trial. Live coverage begins this week only on Court TV.
These murders have shaken our community.
Why did you do it? The doomsday prophet, Chad Daybell.
Prosecutors say they will seek the death penalty.
A social media sensation, now a suspected killer.
I appreciate that, but I think it's time that he gets a taste of something else because I just can't with that history. In accordance with the laws of the state of Nevada, this court...
My goodness, now to what is tipping the scales of justice. The defendant seen in that video attacking a judge in a Nevada courtroom is facing some new charges this morning. They are serious. Deobra Redden appearing before a different judge Tuesday to hear the charges against him for that viral attack.
Mr. Redden, have you been given a copy of the criminal complaint this morning?
Yes, I have been given one.
You're being charged with count 1, attempt murder, victim 60 years of age or older, a felony. Count 2, battery on a protected person resulting in substantial bodily harm, victim 60 years of age or older, a felony. Count 3, extortion by threat, a felony. Count 4, intimidating a public officer, a felony. Count 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 are all battery on an officer, the same name victim. Oh, and by the way, I do not know any of the other victims named in the criminal complaint. Those are all felony offenses. Count 10, performance of act or neglect of duty and willful or wanton disregard of safety or persons of property resulting in substantial bodily harm or death, a felony. Battery on a protected person, count 11, that's a gross misdemeanor offense. Count 12, battery by a prisoner, a felony. Count 13, unlawful act related to human excrement or bodily fluid, a felony. All allegedly occurring on January 3rd of 2024.
Wow. Judge Mary Kay Holthus sustaining minor injuries after this, checked out at a local hospital after Redden vaulted over her honors bench, attacked her when she was about to sentence him to go to either jail or prison. Took several people to subdue him. He attacked others there behind the bench. This was just awful. And the charge is raising some eyebrows. For some, is attempted murder. Some people are saying, oh, wow. They're surprised at that. I personally was not, but then again, my background is that of a prosecuting attorney. So let me bring in Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson and criminal defense and civil rights attorney Casey Early. Okay, so let's talk about this. Casey, ladies first, please. Were you surprised?
I'm not surprised at the charges. I mean, the prosecutors have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. It can be dismissed at a judgment of acquittal or a not guilty verdict. I mean, these are multiple charges. They believe they can prove it. Fine. But I always say being a criminal defense attorney is one of the hardest jobs, and prosecutors as well, and judges. It's a great profession, but it's absolutely dangerous. I've been in a position where inmates were escaped from custody in the courtroom, and then if they get the wrong judgment or sentence, they seek to attack not only the defense attorneys, but sometimes the prosecutors and the judge. So I do believe this should be a call to action for greater security, more training to prevent these attacks, because unfortunately it could have gone worse.
You're right, Casey. Thank you, for saying that, because I would imagine there have been times, I mean, speaking very frankly, have you ever been afraid, with a client of yours, who started to get worked up because they didn't like maybe what the judge was doing?
Of course. I mean, I've tried over 100 jury and non-jury trials to verdict, and I had a few guilty verdicts. You put your heart, you leave your heart on the podium, you fight, but ultimately the facts are the facts. We're just doing our job. And when that guilty verdict comes down, before, they were on your side advocating, and now that there's a guilty verdict, it's not that you just have to deal with your client. There's times that I have to walk out of that courtroom and deal with the family members who think that I didn't do my job. So this, again, is very dangerous, which is why our addresses are protected here in Florida, because we don't know what we'll get.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. And Matt, you can identify too, as a journalist, scary situations. That courthouse is where you worked, for many years early in your career. Your thoughts on the attempted murder charge, though, did that in any way shock you?
It didn't. There was no shock whatsoever. I'll tell you why. Because usually the charges are as much as they can do. That's why we're seeing 15 charges here, in my opinion, because some of them may be pled down or, argued against.
Right.
But what was he going to do here? The intent in all of this, in this action, was he going to give her a hug? No. He was trying to really hurt her because of what was going on in his life, because of his actions. So that's what you have to think. What could have happened here?
Right, you're right. He was relentless, wasn't he? I mean, Matt, you've studied that video so many times. It's not
so
like
disturbing.
Right, it's not like the leap happens and then he stops. He continues.
And that's why there's the battery charges, I believe, against the other officers. Right. And that's why we're seeing so many charges, because he's also in the scuffle with them and they sustain injuries. These are professionals.
Yeah, no, really. And you've said the courthouse security there is really tight.
It's very tight. It is in an area of Las Vegas that, is troubled at times. But it's very tight, and there's a lot of security in this building. But what we had there was a situation where maybe he should have had more officers, sheriff's deputies around him.
Right.
And maybe he should have been in a bigger courtroom across from the judge. It seemed like a tight space and not much security.
Yes. No, definitely. Thank goodness we don't see this every day, but criminal court, we all know, it can be a scary place. It really can be. Oh, absolutely. Well, we're going to leave it here for now, but of course, Deobra Redden, you know, he's got no shortage of legal problems. He's going to be back in court again and again. We're going to continue following it. We'll leave it here for now and say a big thank you to our guest, Casey Early, for lending us her legal expertise, and our Matt Johnson. We'll look forward to seeing you later today on Court TV Live. Thank you so much.